I'm going to ask you one question that I know is not a great question. But I'm going to ask it anyways, because maybe you have a great answer for it or something arises. And that is, if you could say there's one particular insight that you can communicate in some way, even embodied, that would have the biggest impact on relieving human suffering, what do you think it would be from all your training or all your experience?
Yeah, it is a very challenging question, just because um, each insight is showing kind of another layer of, actually, is seeing through another layer that was piled up in this kind of castle of projection and internal world, right? So each of those shifts, and just for like a radical simplicity, there is this kind of realization of pure presence, of beingness, or I am sense of that, just consciousness that is free, right? It's not identified with thought. It feels inherently beautiful and free, right? That pure presence, and it just feels so complete, and it is absolutely wonderful, right? But then there is also like natural outgrowth of that. There is this way in which we can clarify that actually in our perception, the sense of there being a subject to it, it's a construct. It's actually not the case when we look at it very carefully, and time after time, and it's maybe not as easy to access that if we have not realized that pure presence, right? um some teachers talk about this, up and out movement, and then down and in movement of awakening, right? And then, of course, there's this kind of falling away of any sense of separation. Because we can say, that's the whole point. Like sometimes we use those phrases like, oh, I don't exist, right? But, those words has arisen, right? So in a certain way, it's almost funny to argue
It's
that
hilarious. Yeah.
I don't exist as a separate thing from the universe. That's very clear in my experience,
Mm.
right? But so I would say, if I would have to boil it down, that's just how it's appearing here. And again, if we talk, tomorrow, it might be totally different answer.
Mm.
Is seeing through separation,
Mm.
seeing through illusion that I am apart from life. Everything else is around me, and I am at the center of it. But what is this I? Right? When you ask someone to turn around and be like, okay, I am here is a thought. Okay, so there are thoughts, granted, right? There are sensations, and we say like, oh, but because this is my body, right? But okay, this is my body is another thought, right? So all I have is actually sensations, right? And if I look really clearly into them, it's like, oh, they're cloud-like, fire-like, which means there's constant thrill of little points of experience, pixel of experience, coming and going, arising and dying, right? So this thing I called body, my body, is exactly of a nature of a waterfall. If I look at it from a distance, I'll be like, oh, that's a waterfall. It's a noun. It's a thing. It's out there. I see waterfall. But if you come close, just the rushing current, nothing solid, just this constant points of that. When you see it, it's already gone, already gone, already gone, right? So this my body suddenly becomes nothing else but just this cloud-like, fire-like, open field of points of experience, right? That's it. And then there are thoughts arising, but it's not like between thoughts whatever this truth is disappearing in a puff of smoke. So it's not like the thoughts are defining anything; they're simply arising. Right? Sounds are arising. The colors are vivid, beautiful. Right? So the sense of apartness from the universe, from everything, from life, from reality, is this fundamental way in which we kick ourselves out of the kingdom of heaven, time after time. Because there are moments, there are some moments when that is kind of, when you're like really passionate about surfing and you are riding this wave. And in this moment, suddenly it's like there's just this flow, there's just this magical life, just this breeze, and you don't define any of it. It's like, oh, it's a nice wind today. It's like, no, it's just that one experience, continuous, right? Beautiful, vivid, luminous, right? And therefore, people are willing to risk their lives to revisit that. That's why people climb without ropes, because it's like, I'm so forced to be present that there is nothing between me and this movement of climbing, right? They're willing to risk their life because they don't know this is possible in each and every moment, because it's our birthright. It's here for us, for everyone, right? And we can, through a process of truly clearly looking at our experience, we can truly live in that way all the time. And of course, we will have some challenges. We are not like perfect transcendent beings, of course. But it's like the basis from which life happens is not that mini me at the center of it all, being freaked out, being angry, wanting to manipulate for outcomes. It's life. It's life itself. It's right here. And it's, and therefore, from that perspective, when we see sadness, it's a sadness. It's not my sadness, your sadness. It's a sadness, and the compassionate heart comes online immediately because there's no separation. It's like, oh, he's sad today. It's like, oh, it's experienced vividly. It's, and from this point, we can transcend those boundaries as a humanity, right? We can go beyond that me versus you, my views, your views, I'm better, you're worse, all that whole thing to the, not to the perfect degree, because this is a mess, right? And in a certain way, we say like it's like a lotus growing from a muddy water. On one hand, our experience can be beyond that, and still our roots are in the mud, and we'll crawl through it sometimes, and we'll have struggles, of course. But there is a way in which we can go beyond that whole thing that sets us apart and makes us destroy each other in the end, right? And makes us fight. So truly, that insight of non-separation, I would say this is the essence. This is birthright and our pathway if we want to continue on this planet, as a thriving species, and not as like, cockroaches, survivors of nuclear disaster, kind of thing,
Ah, Kogen. Wow. I'm glad I asked that stupid question. I have to say, like, I've never met Tongan Roshi, but like, I could feel that compassion, that energy in that transmission. That was absolutely beautiful. I hope the audience can feel it too. Oh my gosh.